Hey, what's up, everybody? You're listening to Han Talks First. This is a Star Wars show where we talk about everything going on in the Star Wars galaxy. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We're reviewing an article written on the Wall Street Journal about a Star Wars novelist who seeks years of missing royalty payments from Disney. So let's get started. Anyway, getting into this, let's start at the top. Alan Dean Foster was in his late 20s when George Lucas, standing near a model of a Millennium Falcon in a warehouse in Southern California, met him to discuss writing the novel adaptation of his forthcoming movie, Star Wars. Now, I actually have this uh, novel somewhere on the bookshelf, but it's a good read. It was one of the first behind the scenes novels we got about the making of Star Wars, and since then, Alan Dean Foster has went on to write multiple other books, not just with Star Wars universe, but others as well. Now, the original contract called for an upfront payment of $7,500 until Mr. Lucas tossed Mr. Foster a 0.5% royalty on sales that Mr. Foster, who's now 74 years old, says added up to several times the initial payment. They arrived several times a year as of the original 1977 blockbuster set box office records, and the novelization he wrote went on to sell more than 1 million copies. That is insane. Then in 2012, the Walt Disney Company bought Lucasfilm and the royalty checks stopped coming. Interesting. Now, Mr. Foster and other authors from Disney purchased franchises are in a heated dispute with Hollywood's biggest empire, which they say refuses to pay royalties on book contracts it absorbed in the $4 billion Lucasfilm deal and other acquisitions. So, this is not just about Alan Dean Foster, but about other artists with other franchises that are now owned by Disney. Let's see, I missed my spot here. Okay. The amount of money at stake is minuscule to the company of Disney's size, but important to the writers seeking it. While Disney has mined Lucasfilm for new movies, they have collectively grossed $6 billion worldwide box office. These writers say that the company has delayed dealing with their complaints and stifled them on checks that are rarely total a few $1,000s apiece. Since Mr. Foster's dispute was taken publicly by the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America Association, other authors of books tied to projects from Indiana Jones to Buffy and the Vampire Slayer have come forward with similar stories of royalty checks that stopped coming in after Disney acquired their properties. In each case, Disney threatens to alienate and obscure but vital tentacle of these franchises, as the novelizations helped build and maintain fan loyalty. Complicated matters include the exact amount of money at stake is unknown, since sales and royalties for the books involved have fluctuated widely over time. So yeah, it's the books, especially to the Star Wars fan base, are is a huge contribution to our loyalty. I know it is for me. I love behind the scenes stuff. And I also love deep dives, such as I recently got a lightsaber collection book, which is all about each individual lightsaber, how they work, how they function, who they belong to, and it kind of breaks down the mechanics and also its use and each person that has owned them, and it's a very good read. And it's little things like that that hardcore fans like myself are dedicated to, getting a whole collection of them and also learning about the world that we don't get from the movies or the television series. A Disney spokesperson said, "We are carefully reviewing whether any royalty payments may have been missed as a result to acquisition and integration and will take appropriate remedial steps if that is the case." Come on. They know what they're doing. They know what they did. They have lawyers that look through these, acquisition documents and contracts. They know what they're supposed to do. There may be a loophole. I don't know. Now it goes on here to say Mr. Foster is a well-known lifelong or long-time Star Wars fan, and Disney is ignoring the Workday players who help build integrational connections to beloved characters. He and his wife are both in poor health, and he said that the royalty earnings could come in handy for medical expenses. He says, "I am not Spielberg. I am not Steve King. I don't even have a name that starts with Steve." That's kind of funny. um, well, I mean, either way, regardless of if you need it for medical expenses or not, you deserve your royalties, regardless of what field you're in, whether it's novels royalties, music royalties, film royalties. If it's written in a contract, it pretty much goes on until the day you die or until that contract is suspended or no longer active. Now, this dispute began in the summer of 2019. So this has been going on for over a year now. which is why I said this is old news, but just now coming to the light of many different people's attentions. Another quote he says right here is Disney has acquired a house with a mortgage on it. They want to keep living in the house, but they don't want to pay the mortgage, Mr. Foster said. I think that's a great way of putting it. You know, part of the responsibility when you're purchasing a company such as Lucasfilm or 20th Century Fox is you have to, accommodate those people that are currently employed there. I mean, you can either replace them for a different, you know, position, or you continue to honor the code that was contracted to them from the beginning. In this situation with Lucasfilm, Alan Dean Foster was to receive royalties up until he died, which is normal and understandable. But also in this situation, since this is already in court, Disney has one of two options. Number one is they continue to go through with this lawsuit and they lose, and they have to pay him not just the royalties that was missing, but also punitive damages, which would really hurt Disney. I mean, they wouldn't hurt them. They can pay for it. They can afford it. They're Disney. But just the fact that they would be losing additional money when they could just upfront pay his royalties. At that point, it's a little too late, too little too late. But that's one option. The other option is they could charge the amount of royalties due to him to George Lucas. That is really the only other option I see that could happen. Now, George Lucas, he's a very smart man, and I'm sure he took this into consideration. I'm sure he cares about his employees at Lucasfilm. I know he cares about them, and I'm sure that goes along with the novelist as well. And I know for a fact that he did make sure that the people that were employed by Lucasfilm stayed at Lucasfilm when Disney bought them, and they weren't going to be transitioned to another person. But I do also believe George Lucas has a trustworthy team of lawyers that looked through the documents and made sure that he would not be held responsible or accountable for any royalties due thereafter he sold the company. Jumping ahead here, it says if Disney agrees to calculate the missing royalties, it faces a daunting task tracking down sales that cover 6 years. In Mr. Foster's case alone, 5 novels published in dozens of international markets. They're right. This would be an extreme task with much longevity. It's not like it would be fixed tomorrow and everything's good to go. If they continue to go through with this lawsuit and they string it out and they let it hang for a while, it's still going to accumulate more time, and these books sell. The Star Wars novels sell, whether they're behind the scenes or anthologies or continuations, they sell and they do very well. The Star Wars fan base loves their books. Donald Glut, a writer who novelized 1980's Empire Strikes Back, and James Caan, who adapted the third film of the original trilogy, Return of the Jedi, both have said that they are missing royalty checks too. If resolution isn't reached, the Writers Association could take further action, and Mrs. Cowell, including putting Disney on a list of publishers it tells its members to avoid, the term given to such a designation, writer beware. So, guys, this is major news. It doesn't affect you and me, but it affects Disney, and in a major way, because again, this isn't just about Lucasfilm. It's about other properties that were inherited by Disney, whether it was under Lucasfilm or 20th Century Fox or any other property that they might own. I don't understand how this happened or why this happened. I understand Disney is a company and they function off money, and money is a priority, and they have to, pull strings, take chances and risks sometimes. But this just seems like a straightforward understanding that you need to give your artists royalties. They're an entertainment company and they work with artists all the time. That's how they function. And to think that they wouldn't respect the code of hirer and employee, I just don't understand how this came to be. So we're going to see more news from this coming forward, and I'll be sure to comment on it and give you my thoughts and read you some more articles. If you guys enjoyed this article, you can find it yourself on the Wall Street Journal. We skipped around a little bit, but you can go read for it yourself, and it's a really interesting read, and I hope the best for Alan Dean Foster. And I also hope the best for Disney as well. I'm a huge Disney guy. I love it. I love Star Wars, everything about it. If you loved this video or liked it or disliked it, leave a comment below. Like the video, dislike the video, whatever you like to do, and subscribe to the channel because we do Star Wars videos twice a week here, and I'm sure you would enjoy it. If you want to listen to us on the go, we have a podcast as well on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Stitcher, Overcast, wherever you would like to listen to podcasts, we're there. But thank you so much for listening today. I look forward to seeing you again soon. May the force be with you.